Multiculturalism does not serve modern society.
What?
What did he say?
It's safe to say that we're living in a multicultural environment, particularly in the West. For example, in Ireland, 1 in 8 people come from a culturally diverse background. And when we look at younger generations, we see the largest population of culturally and ethnically diverse people to proudly call themselves Irish, myself included. But what we're actually seeing now, as a result of this multicultural environment, is toxic polarization, and divisions that are now really being exploited in online and in digital media spaces. So what's happening here? Aren't we supposed to be more tolerant given the fact that we are in a multicultural environment? Social psychology paints a different picture. Hi, my name's Mamobo. I am a social psychologist and the founder of GORM. And if you want to learn how to unify across differences, make sure to subscribe. Having a multicultural society does not necessarily mean that we're winning in the diversity game. Yes, ethnic diversity is a reality, but it's not an indicator of social cohesion or integration between communities. You see, being a multicultural society does not really mean that we're playing out multiculturalism in our everyday lives. The truth is that multiculturalism and other terms such as assimilation, integration, interculturalism are ideas of how we manage and deal with diversity in our everyday lives. So when we talk about multiculturalism, it's the way in which governments, people, organizations, and society at large think of, deal with, and play out diversity when it comes to our everyday lives. In a multicultural environment, we value, give access, and respect the differences that come with different identities and different cultural backgrounds in a given environment. This is particularly important when it comes to respecting underrepresented or minoritized communities in a given state. However,
bombastic side eye.
Traditional understandings of multiculturalism tend to focus on group-based differences. Of course, we're all different, and it's something that we should be celebrated. But when those differences are the things that are solely emphasized all the time, this can actually lead to more separation, more division, more stereotyping, and more prejudice. And what social psychologists have found is that when we emphasize all the time these group-based differences, this can actually lead to what we call othering. And othering is when we neatly define who belongs and who does not belong in a given society. It's when we decipher who has access and privilege to certain things in our community and who is to blame for the shortcomings of wider, more powerful structures, particularly when there's limited resources. Given the sharp skew to better attitudes towards diversity in Western societies, which has proved to be positive towards minoritized or traditionally othered communities, promoting human rights, equity, belonging. However, researchers have shown that people in minoritized communities tend to really like multiculturalism because it helps them better understand and keep their identities. But they've actually found that people in majority groups, some people, tend to feel it as threatening towards their identity. This can not only further the process of othering for already vulnerable communities, because in this case, majority group holds the power, it can actually have the majority members feeling like they're left out of the conversation, which can actually lead to self-segregation and the likelihood of people being pulled into extreme ideas that can harm wider society. Social psychologists have found that some multicultural initiatives can actually make prejudice worse, particularly when it's presented in a way that the majority group see it as coercive or they're being forced to do it. They found that how the initiatives were framed and the motivations behind it, both internally and externally, are often indicators to the effectiveness of multicultural initiatives or diversity incentives, particularly tackling prejudice, systemic inequalities, and institutional and structural racism. So what can we learn from this? Yes, traditional forms and understandings of multiculturalism has been a great starting point in terms of improving the conditions of traditionally minoritized or othered communities. It's been a model where differences are seen, they're promoted, they're tried to be accepted, but not necessarily respected between communities. What I'm saying here is that if we do not focus on intergroup relations when it comes to promoting diversity and how different communities can come together and engage across lines of differences, I'm afraid that we're going to be doing ourselves a disservice. What's going to happen is that we will continue to see people being drawn into ideas that really promote and really feed into their concerns and anxieties of these othered communities. We need to move beyond traditional ideas of multiculturalism, which can in fact breed more hate, prejudice, and divisions in society, and move towards a society that positively bridges, engages, and unifies across differences. So what is this idea called? This is called interculturalism. In an intercultural society, not only do we promote this idea of differences between ourselves, but we actually engage in the commonalities too. In an intercultural society, we actually positively engage with people who are different from us through intercultural dialogue, communication, or even through our behavior. This not only breaks down divisions, breaks down stereotypes and things that we may think of different communities, but it can actually build a more unified society. So how do we actually create an intercultural society? It's actually done through psychology again. Soft plug. It's done through intercultural competence. So if you want to learn more about intercultural competence, stay tuned on our channel and we will teach you how. And hate and